Yeah, so my name is Liam Horne. I'm currently working on L4, which is essentially a project myself and some of my friends have put together to help kind of steward the growth of what we call Web3, which essentially is what we kind of consider to be the internet we're kind of all collectively building here that enables users to contribute to the applications that they participate in. We see this as being kind of the grand vision or the thing that we all want to get to with all the technology that we're building, and so we're stewarding that through three major components. One is the research component, where we're actually doing a ton of research on Ethereum scalability solutions, primarily state channels, but also thinking a ton about Plasma. We're also helping the community grow through helping organize events like ETH Buenos Aires through an initiative called ETH Global, which takes a lot of the learnings from myself and some of my friends' pasts running hackathons and provides them almost as a kind of free service to a lot of other excited organizers of hackathons. And then lastly also is the growth component, where we run a fund called the Stable Fund, which is particularly focused on investing in things that are building really usable applications, which tend to take advantage of stable coins and generally useful financial infrastructure that right now Maker provides. I think that the most obvious challenge is that a lot of things just don't scale. We have this bizarre situation where there's an insane amount of investor interest, an insane amount of hype generally, but we're still dealing with bugs that are like low-level bugs taking developers days to get through, and it's the same bug hitting every developer over and over and over again. So it's absolutely like absurd if you look at it from that way. So definitely scalability and just like maturity of the developer tooling is by far, they're by far the most important problems to work on right now. I personally spend a ton of time every single day developing. I'd say probably 70% of my waking hours are trying to deal with all this tooling. It's not been fun, and I try to focus my own energy on the stuff that's really like the worst, so that people around me don't have to deal with so much of that. But hopefully in the future I won't feel so bad about showing people like how I built the stuff that I build. But definitely right now it's those two things. There's a lot of core components that every project kind of needs. Similar contracts, similar things like upgradability, proxying, and in our project Counterfactual, we actually make use of some things like the proxying techniques that you guys have described in your blog posts. And Alina, one of your guest blog posters, and I know each other, and I've kind of been following what she's been saying on the blog. And a lot of those techniques are very useful and should become standardized things that can just be off-the-shelf components, because they've clearly been well thought out. They've been done by a team that is well known for being a team that can audit contracts and build things that are secure. So if anyone's going to be doing this kind of stuff, it makes sense for Zeppelin to be providing these components. And if it's beneficial for us because we get to use them. But for me, I just look at it as taking a step back, building something right, building it once, and then giving it to the community, and that's a very valuable service. The main kind of benefits are that there's just so much stuff with smart contract development that's common and reusable and doesn't need to be refigured out by every single new developer joining the ecosystem, which is basically common practice in every other technology ecosystem. But in this space, we don't really have that yet. There's just a lot of basic tooling that we don't have. So someone coming along and just stepping up and actually doing that is really useful. So basically, yeah, anytime there's a component that we think should be a standard thing across the community, we'll plug that off the shelf. My hope is that I can kind of grow into a whole ecosystem of tools such that developers, once they want to build their application, they can have a whole plugin ecosystem, have a library where they can pull these common components, and that would be great. For us, a lot of the things that we do they tend to be kind of this mixture of on-chain operations in which these kind of things are very useful, but there's also a lot of off-chain operations where that ecosystem has not been as developed, because the use case for dealing with off-chain contracts and what we call counterfactual contracts just there's not really any tooling around that yet. And so we're hoping that whole ecosystem can also grow, and that's a perfect example where some of the things that we've been thinking about can even perhaps be integrated or in some way thought about with the OpenZeppelin platform. There'd be two things that I would say. The first thing is upgradability. This is actually a really important thing, I think, because right now there's not really any standard for this kind of thing. There's some blog posts that people can read that people can understand and learn a bit more about this, but it's not that easy to, in general, build that stuff. So having a simple, intuitive way of doing upgradability is useful. In state channels, actually, it's kind of interesting because in our situation we actually get that for free, because a lot of our contracts just never actually go on the chain, and if you want to upgrade, if you just want to upgrade them, just everyone signs off on the upgrade and you're done. But that's kind of special to our use case. In most use cases we can't do that. And then the second thing would probably be just the kernel, specifically like the thing that's useful for us, and I think a lot of projects, is a simple way of referencing these components. There's just not even like standard ways right now for like structuring a repo, or do you deploy the same thing every time? Do you not? Like, how do I even know? If there's a simple way of just kind of referencing already existing libraries that are on chain, that seems to me like a type of functionality that needs to be there. So having that built into ZeppelinOS will be very useful. I really like Zeppelin. Manuel was one of the first people to kind of confirm he was coming to ETH Waterloo, which was kind of the first in the ETH Global series. I've been following along basically since you guys put like this code up online, when first learning about like all this tech and trying to figure out, okay, well, how do I actually build this stuff? And you guys had some common components that were useful. It seems to me like it's a really good example of someone that's kind of taken hold of the community, and like not just necessarily just kind of taken from it, but actually joined the conversation, joined the community, helped out in lots of ways. Like this is a perfect example, right? Martin spending a ton of time actually organizing ETH Buenos Aires is a great example of actually, giving back to the community while at the same time building a business within it, and using it to kind of build your own business. So that's an exciting thing to see, and so I like to see that in projects that kind of we work with. So it's highly appreciated, I'd say.